Yo, what's up, everybody? This is your cosmic homegirl, and I'm doing another quick celebrity reading here on my channel. Excuse me. And yeah, again, excuse my voice. In the morning, I sound like crap. I sound like an old smoker lady, even though I don't smoke. Okay, but anyway. So recently, YouTuber Shane Dawson has been all over social media news, like all the drama channels, social media um, platforms, but also like he's been a little bit in like the regular news as well. I've seen a couple headlines that he was in some regular news outlets because of allegations against him, and because the Smith family, which I just did a video on some other stuff about Jada Pinkett Smith, but Jada and Jaden Smith have called him out on some things regarding Willow Smith as well that were very inappropriate. Shane Dawson, now listen, he's a YouTuber. I've seen some of his videos, only the docu-series he's done on different other YouTubers, because I like cinematography. I'm into video production and all of that. I'm a nerd with that stuff. So, I thought I'd check out his skills, and plus, the other YouTubers he did videos on. I know I've seen things about them, and I found it intriguing to hear their stories. I like documentary stuff. So I've peeped a little bit of his stuff. I'm not here to preach about any social justice, anything, or take sides or stand for anything. That's not me, okay? I have the South Node in Aquarius. I'm not about that life. What I want to tell you guys and show you guys is how astrology works by using this guy as an example of planetary transits and horoscopes. So most people know a horoscope as some corny ass thing you read in a newspaper that's like 2 sentences long that tells you today's your lucky day and your lucky numbers are this, and it's something that's pulled out of someone's asshole and it's fake. Okay, no, what a true horoscope is, if you take the word and break it down, horo is a word for hour, like the hour or of time. Okay, it's a word for time. To scope means what? If you're scoping something out, it means you watch it. So horoscope really means watching time. And how we watch time in astrology is through the planetary movement, tracking planetary activity, planetary movement, and comparing that to life here on Earth. So this is Shane Dawson's natal chart. That means at his time of birth, which Astro Theme has a presumed time of birth. They said that Shane on Twitter said that he's a Cancer rising and has a Virgo moon. So they just picked a time that put his rising sign in the middle of Cancer. Okay, they don't have his exact time, but this is ballpark roundabout somewhere, But anyway, so this is what the planetary alignment was when Shane was born. And if you guys are tuning in and you don't know anything about astrology, I have a few videos. I have a playlist about learning astrology to where I break it down in the most layman's terms, like down to earth type of ways that hopefully you understand. I also have a class on my website where I break down astrology 101, and I try to simplify it as much as possible. Okay, but this is the sky when he was born, where the planets were aligned, and some asteroids and stuff too. Okay, so this dictates Shane's personality, but also it could tell you about the timing of life events. So when we compare where the planets were aligned when he was born to where they're aligned right now, and constantly moving and shifting, we can tell when certain things in his life are being activated, certain areas of life are activated, certain events are provoked to happen. Okay, so Shane Dawson is a Cancer sun sign, a Cancer rising sign, and a Virgo moon. He also has Mars, the planet of anger, aggression, war, and action, in Aries. He has Venus, the planet of relationships, relating one-on-one to other people, enjoying the human experience and enjoying and experiencing other humans. Via relationships or what have you. He has that in Gemini. He has Mercury, the planet that rules communication, how you speak, talk, text, DM, how you message people, how you whatever, however you communicate is through Mercury. He has that in the sign of Cancer. Okay. Now, when we look at his natal chart placements, and then we compare them to what's going on in the sky currently, it tells a lot about why he's catching so much heat. And if you want to see what I'm talking about, there's plenty of YouTube channels and I'm sure other social media outlets that are reporting on Shane Dawson and the allegations against him and the drama and the tea of it all. Okay, go look them all up. But he's catching a lot of heat publicly. His public image and his career are on the line right now. Why is that so? So first of all, if we take a look, if they have, I would say they are astrotheme.com is probably pretty close to Shane's birth time. It may be a little earlier than this, okay? Maybe before 5 a.m. or around 5 a.m. because the MC, or what's called the midheaven, this is the point in someone's chart that rules their public image and their career, how the public sees you and views you. If you have a public image as a celebrity or, if, you know, your social profile, that is the midheaven point. So he has that at a late degree of Pisces, it's presumed. And I think this is right. Here's why. Because this is how people come off to the public. This is how he comes off on YouTube, on Instagram, on whatever social media platforms, is through his midheaven in Pisces. So Shane, he has this image right now, at least, as being this, this guy who sometimes he's a victim and sometimes, and he said himself he's an empath, which, Pisces is one of the signs that is heavily empathic. Okay, all the water signs are Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, and he has all three activated in his chart. So yes, he can be an empath, and he puts that out there. He puts himself out there as someone very sensitive and caring. He did those docuseries. It seemed to me like he did them to try to help those people and to put them out there in a light of, highlighting their victimization, their victimhood, as well as his own at times. So that's very Pisces in nature. Now, I told you guys, Mars, the planet of war, aggression, and being attacked and attacking others. Mars has been in the sign of Pisces and just entered the sign of Aries. So let's take a look at that. And when we look at things in astrology, when we get real nerdy with it, we look at the degrees, okay? The degrees matter because it's the exact points in time is the degrees, okay? So with his public image being a late degree of Pisces, let's look at where Mars has been lately. All this stuff started popping up in the last few weeks. I'm recording this the beginning of July of 2020. But towards the end of June is when all these attacks on Shane Dawson started coming up. People started digging things up and yada, yada, yada. Well, that was when Mars, in June, Mars has been in Pisces. War, anger, aggression in the sign of Pisces and in the later degrees in the last couple of weeks. Okay? And then it just shifted into Aries the last couple of days of June. Now we're into the first few days of July. Mars is in Aries in full effect. Okay, so where does that land in Shane's chart? Public image, career. His career and public image are under attack. And I heard somebody, I wish I could remember who. I've watched several videos from drama channels mostly reporting on this whole thing that's going on with him. A lot of the dark things about his past are coming to light. And so people have been playing clips of old videos and interviews and podcasts with Shane. And I heard him say with his own words in an interview, he said, it seems like every 2 years, everyone hates me for a little while and then it goes away. Well, Mars, the orbit of Mars through the entire zodiac takes about 2 years, roughly 2 years, 2 to 2.5 years. Mars goes retrograde every couple of years as well. But Mars comes back around. It goes through the zodiac, it takes 2 years to go through it. So Every 2 years or so, whenever Mars hits his the later degrees of Pisces, which rules his career and public image, and then into Aries, which is his own Mars as well, which I'll talk about in a second. That brings about an anger and an attack from the public to Shane Dawson. Okay, so he's right on that, on the cycles, the planetary cycle. It reflects what he said about real earthly time and real events happening in real earthly time. Now, this is Shane's Mars return right now. When you're in your Mars return, that means Mars comes all the way back around to the same spot, meaning the same sign and same degree that it was in when you were born. It activates your Mars, which activates what? Anger, aggression, war, attacks, all of that. So when this happens to everybody once every 2 years or so, all of that is activated within you, which means other people can attack you. It really is clockwork. I was going to say it's like clockwork, but you guys, it really is clockwork. Because once again, horoscope is watching time. So we're watching the astrological clock move, the hands on them of the planets and how they move and how often, okay? So it is like freaking clockwork that Shane is going through his Mars return and people are really on the attack with this dude. But why is it worse now than it has been in previous years? Because like I said, he said himself, every 2 years everybody hates him for a little while. And I bet you if I were to go back and really research and look, it's during Mars in the later degrees of Pisces and into Aries. And the reason why Shane reacted to a video that Tati Westbrook, another YouTuber, posted and included things about him in her video. And he was live on Instagram, I think. And he was like, oh my God, I'm losing my mind. I'm freaking out. She's such a effing liar, blah, 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 blah. Is because his Mars is being activated by transiting Mars right now. He's in his Mars return. So it's so easy to pop off. Much easier than usual to pop off about and to be triggered like that, to just be so angry and explode in anger towards any and everything. Okay. So let's see, as I'm recording this, Mars is at 2. Yeah, it's his exact Mars return. I'm recording this on July 2nd of 2020. And his Mars is 2 degrees 30 minutes of Aries, and that's where Mars is at right now. So I'm hoping that Shane doesn't do anything too drastic during his exact Mars return, because Mars is action that you could perform that is physically violent as well. So hopefully he doesn't do anything too drastic. Let's cross our fingers and hope. But his Mars in Aries, it makes yeah. So anyway, it's his Mars return. He's angry, okay? And everybody's angry at him. Now, why is this time worse than previous years? Because we also have other planets that he has in his chart. They're in the sky right now in the same places, but they've been retrograde. Retro means what? Going back. In retrospect. You know what I'm saying? So things of his past are being brought back big time. Why? Well, first of all, we've had Venus in Gemini retrograde since May of 2020. It just barely went direct at the end of June. But a lot of times with Venus retrograde, things from the past are brought up, and then things come to light even more once Venus goes direct. Those things from the past are looked at in a different light once again. So we've had, and his own Venus is in Gemini. So we've had Venus in Gemini aligning with his Venus and going retrograde over his Venus, right? So that means anything from his past regarding relationships with other people or anything to do with other people have been brought back. Also, we have Mercury retrograde right now. Where? In the sign of Cancer. And his own Mercury in his own natal chart, his birth chart, is in Cancer. So we've had Mercury go retrograde over his Mercury in Cancer. So that means things that he said. Mercury is your speech, communication. Things he said in the past are being brought back from the past to the forefront, to the current, to the present. Okay, so we've had that as well. And also we've had eclipses in the sign of Cancer. We had an eclipse in the sign of Cancer at the beginning of June. So when eclipses happen in your own sign, which he's a Cancer rising and a Cancer sun, so a double Cancer. And when eclipses happen in your sign, they trigger huge life events, huge major changes, good or bad, okay? Whether you're ready for them or not, whether they are good or bad, it doesn't matter. Eclipses open up the portal to things that are fated to happen. So we had an eclipse in Cancer. It was at the end of June, my bad. It was June 21st. June 21st or 20th, depending upon where you live, of 2020. So at that time of that eclipse, here's an eclipse in his sign, in double, right? We also have Mercury retrograde in his Mercury sign, and Venus still retrograde in his Venus sign. So you see all these major, what we call transits in astrology, they're planetary transits, the planetary movement, aka horoscope. You can totally see a time in someone's life that is so significant, so profound, it's hard to escape major things happening, okay? So basically this is why Shane Dawson is going through some things, major life-changing things. We do have towards the end of July, we have a new moon. It's not an eclipse, but new moons and full moons alone still bring about some pretty, significant life changes. It's going to be at 28 degrees of Cancer. Okay, let's look. July 2020. And for those who don't know, this is an ephemeris, which is a calendar that tracks all the movement of the planets and the luminaries, the sun, the moon, and all the planets, right? And so on the 20th of July, we'll have a new moon in Cancer, 28 degrees of Cancer. Shane Dawson has the sun at 27 degrees, or it could be 26 if he's born a little earlier, of Cancer. So that new moon lands right here on him. And it's in the sign of his ascendant and or his first house, which is also something to do with your image. The first impression that people get of you is the ascendant, the sign that was rising in the east when you were born at the exact time. That's why you got to know the birth time. That is how people perceive you as well. The sun is the conscious expression of yourself, your personality, your ego, your appearance. You consciously express it through the sun. You unconsciously express it through the ascendant. So both of these rule expression of self or shame. And then we have a new moon happening here. Okay, so he is definitely going through an identity change, and it's brought about by his public image being under attack and all his past actions coming back to light. So you better believe that Shane is going to have to change his image, himself. And the sun also deals with the ego. There's things about the ego, the conscious, being consciously aware of your ego, an expression of it. There's definitely things that are going to change for him. He's being forced to, okay? Right now during his Mars return, he's probably just straight up angry and impulsive and not understanding why. He put out an apology video. I saw some clips of it or whatever. And he was very passionate, and you better believe he was angry. He was probably trying not to come off as such and still be diplomatic in nature. But yes, that fool was mad, okay? Mars rules the blood. When you have your Mars return, you literally feel like your blood is boiling, because Mars energy is heat. It's hot and it boils. It's heat literally and physically, but also emotionally, like, oh, I'm so heated right now, right? So right now he could be blindly impulsive and mad and heated and not as rational. But he, once Mars leaves Aries, which is actually not going to be until the beginning of 2020, you guys. I mean, 2021, because Mars is going to go retrograde in Aries. Oh my God, in September through November of this year. So Shane is going to have another retrograde planet that is the sign of one of his planets. He has his natal Mars in Aries. Mars is going to go retrograde. So all his personality ruling planets, Mars, Venus, and the Sun, and Mercury, are all retrograde this year in his signs. So with all those retrogrades, you guys, that is why he is so under attack right now. When Mars goes retrograde up here in his career and public image house, in his chart, he will have more that is boomeranged back at him. He needs to be very cautious and careful of his actions right now while Mars is direct up here in his public image, because if he's not, he'll catch heat like freaking 100 times worse when Mars is retrograde in a couple of months in the fall of 2020. So I don't know if he would even listen to this video, but if you are, or if anybody is close enough to advise this dude, Shane, you need to just take the heat, deal with it, and do your best to be low key, but yet like still take accountability for your actions, and don't attack anybody back, because once Mars goes retrograde, this Mars arrow that you point forward at other people is going to turn right back around and be shifted right back towards you tenfold. That's how retrogrades work. So it sucks, it does, but hey, I mean, what, there's nothing else I can say. So yeah, that's your astrology lesson for today, with a quote unquote celebrity chart being used as an example of how horoscopes work for real, not that corny stuff you read on the back of a magazine or any of that fake shit. No. Watching the planetary alignments and movement of the planets is very telling and very real. Okay, so like I said, for more info on how to do that, you can hit my website. I've got a class, I've got a couple videos on a playlist here on my channel, or if you have any questions, you could leave them below in the comments. And yeah, that's it, you guys. So until my next video, peace out.